Hey, hope you're well. This is Edward, and I want to share today another video about buying businesses, and it's going to be the whole process A to Z, and what I think every person that gets into this should do from A to Z to be able to buy a business. So I'm going to go for quickly all the steps you should take, and it's going to be a high level kind of demo of like what this is going to look like as far as your process. So first things first is when you're buying a business, you need to understand who you are and you need to understand what experience you have and what are your financial goals. So you would take a notepad and you write down exactly in what business models you've been involved into, how many years you spend into that, what are your skills and what have been some of your challenges and where you can add a lot of value as far as businesses or what businesses you've done in the past. You would use that as a thesis to be able to then approach businesses to be able to show them how you can add also value to them. So that's the first thing that I would do. Then I would try to understand what's my current financial situation and what other second situation I want to get myself into financially. To what level do I want to grow in the next 6, 12, 18 months from a financial perspective? The reason I say that is because if you don't really know where you want to go financially, you're not going to understand what deals to choose and what deals to reject. And you're definitely not going to have a motivation to go for that. You're definitely not going to have a discipline to go for that if you don't understand where you want to go. If you understand where you want to go, it's going to be a lot easier for you to decide, hey, this is the deal that excites me. It's going to probably is going to get me to my financial goal. And it excites me to go for all this pain and due diligence and discipline. And I'm going to be able to push for that essentially. Second thing, what I would do is I would start understanding if I want to stay locally or if I want to go all across the nation as far as deal flow based on what deals are available. So based on your background and based on where you can add value, you're probably going to choose a few different industries, which are also going to have financial criterias, and that's essentially going to be your buy box. So you're going to choose your location, you're going to choose your financial criteria, revenue, profit, all this stuff and what industries you could add value into that you're going to look into when you're looking at deals. There's two ways of finding deals. There's brokers, and you would try to understand what are the best, most known brokers in that market or in those markets. And then there's also, you can find deals through an off-market campaign. You can do emails, you can do cold calls, you can do LinkedIn, you can do letters. And if you approach all of these at the same time, you can even generate even more off-market deal flow. You can also get deals through off-market deal flow from accountants and lawyers, so you can build a campaign related to that to get more deals in. Once you got a deal, you're going to need to understand how to quickly analyze and financially model a deal and value a deal and create an offer and structure of a deal and negotiate of a deal. So that will be the first step is get on a call with a broker, have a conversation, ask them the right questions, get a little bit of preliminary information, get a SIM, get some financials about the business, look at the company, look at the operations, look at the financials, and decide what the value is based on the market and based on past deals and make an offer. The offer is called a letter of intent, and a letter of intent is essentially a contract in between you and the seller or that company. And what you're going to write in the offer is going to be a combination of your purchase price, the terms and conditions, the structure of that deal. Essentially, if it's going to be an asset sale, stock sale, networking capital, discussions or details. And then you're going to input some more things about exclusivity, some more clauses, some more things about the business, and maybe some more additional terms. You're going to make the offer, and then what's going to typically happen is you're going to go for renegotiating that offer because most people are going to reject the first offer. Once you get to a point where somebody says yes, which is the seller or broker, you got an offer accepted. You got a letter of intent accepted. Once you have that offer accepted, you can then go and raise the capital needed to buy the company. A lot of people think they need to have their own capital to buy the company. No, you don't. You can have a little bit of that money, but in most cases, to de-risk your situation, you're going to go and raise more capital. So typically use either a loan, either it could be a government-backed loan. In the US, it's called an SBA 7A loan. In Canada, there's different mechanisms or you can get a commercial loan to be able to buy the company, which is very similar, but it's a bigger down payment you need from your side. You're also going to put in between 5 to 10% down or up in between 10 to 20% down, depending on what loan type you're getting. And then you're going to try to do as much seller financing on top of your loan. The reason you do that is because you don't want to pay with just your money in a loan. You want to involve the seller in the transaction so he's incentivized to help you. Some of the times the seller financing note is going to be on full standby, depending on what loan you're getting and how the lender is allowing you to do that and what kind of mechanism you're using. But in most cases, the seller needs to be incentivized to still be with you, help you transition, mentor you, train you, just understand how to run some of these components of his business. Um, Once you're getting your lending in some cases, you might need to raise additional capital from private accredited investors. You might need to raise more capital from other sources to be able to inject more money into the deal to close it. While you're doing that raise and while you're talking to a lot of these lenders to get your capital in, you still need to do due diligence, which is going to be quality of earnings with an accountant. You're going to need to hire an accountant that exactly does that function. And you're going to need a lawyer that is going to prepare all the documentation related to the purchase agreement, the shareholder agreement, and is going to do some legal due diligence on the company and is going to help you with setting up essentially the entity, the holding company, and all this other stuff. So getting an accountant in due diligence is very important, and getting a lawyer is also very important. And then if you have a consultant or some sort of M&A firm, they could also do commercial due diligence on the deal to help you with that component. So while you're getting capital, you're doing final due diligence. And once you essentially have done all these things, you're getting closer to the date of closing. And you could close the deal, essentially transfer the funds. Your accountant and lawyer is going to help you that. And then you essentially become the owner of that company. After you became the owner of that company, typically you'll keep running the company for the next 30, 60, up to 90 days. You're going to implement some new systems and procedures in place to keep growing that company, maybe put the right people in the right seats, improve some of the components of a company, and then keep moving. In most cases, more people that want to scale a lot quicker than up from just an organic perspective, they're going to go and buy more companies. So instead of you spending years and years in that company and growing it organically, what you're going to do is you're going to put right systems in place, delegate the right things to the right people, and go and find a second deal and buy a second company. Eventually, there's a more complex task in between integrating the first company and the second company, which is very complex, but people that are getting very successful and scale companies quickly, they really understand how to acquire more businesses and scale for that process. So that's how you buy businesses. And I think that using this process, understanding what you're going to do from A to Z quickly, is going to give you the confidence to understand if you want to be involved in this or if you're making maybe any mistakes on your side. Some people don't follow the process. They try to skip steps and they don't get results. So if you want to really get involved or maybe you're struggling with some of these things, this is typically what we've used to close hundreds of deals. And let me know if you have any questions. If you want to DM me on any of these steps, if you're looking for help in any of these steps, happy to talk to you on a call. Thank you for watching. Bye.